Good evening, everyone. I'm Charles Paine, and you're watching Making Money. Yesterday, I had the pleasure of talking with GOP frontrunner Donald Trump, and he's been receiving a lot of backlash and a lot of things, including allowing Russia to take the lead in Syria. Well, we cover that and everything from the economy to immigration. Here's what he had to say.
I think what we have to do is we have to go a little bit slower than what I would normally do and what a lot of people would normally do, because we're backing people that we have no idea who they are. You look at what happened in other places, whether you go to Iraq with Saddam Hussein, look at that mess that turned out. And, I mean, you just, no matter where you go, look at what happened with Gaddafi. We thought that was going to be a great thing, and look at the mess you have over there. So I think we have to go, Charles, a little bit slower, see what's happening. Russia does not want ISIS, and by the way, neither does Assad want ISIS. And I say when you have to look. I love the fact that Russia is spending a lot of their money, a lot of their manpower, and we're not necessarily going to have to spend as much. I think that's okay. It's Syria. And we have to go. You know, Russia got bogged down in Afghanistan. It ruined the Soviet Union because, I don't know if you know, but the Soviet Union was basically destroyed. It went virtually bankrupt because of what happened. They got bogged down in Afghanistan. They'll probably get bogged down over here, too. And I want to rebuild the United States. I want to rebuild our country, our roads, our schools, our airports, instead of just pouring money down the drain. So, you know, I understand what you're saying. Russia wants to get rid of ISIS also. I think we have to take it a little bit easy and just see. But we have to be careful who we're backing, Charles. That's the key, because we don't even know who these people are.
Yeah, hey, listen, I got you on that, and I happen to be one of those people that thinks that the Arab Spring backfired, that the notion of maybe nation building is something in America, that's a business we'll probably want to get out of in the future.
Yeah.
I guess beyond the rebels.
I would say, Charles, backfired, to put it mildly.
To put it mildly, you know, sometimes the dictator in place is better than the mess that you leave behind. But having said that, though, Vladimir Putin, Iran, a beachhead in Syria, access to the Mediterranean, you've talked about building a large military presence and having the type of intimidation around the world that goes along with that. But having a big stick and being reluctant to use it means the big stick is not going to work.
Well, in this case, you know, they were talking about various zones where we would be, where Russia would be. They couldn't work it out. Look, the problem is we have no leadership in this country, okay? And, you know, when I speak, I'm also speaking a little bit that we're going to have to live for another year and a half with our current administration. Our current administration truly doesn't have a clue. This happened, I mean, if you look last week, he meets with Putin. Everything seemed to be fine, and then Putin goes ahead and does this, and Obama's in a state of shock. So we are, you know, we've got a president for another year and a half, and it hasn't worked out so well for our country. But I will say that I really think that if somebody else wants to go in and knock the hell out of ISIS, and, you know, you look at this migration, a lot of this migration is because of the tremendous instability in Syria. So we can sort of take it. Let's just watch for a little while.
Okay.
Let's just watch for a little while. We want to be strong. We want to be sane. And remember, the big thing is we don't know who we're backing. I was with a general yesterday. They have no idea who these people are that we're backing. They could turn out, look, Assad's a bad guy. These people could turn out to be worse, as you sort of indicated before. I mean, they could turn out to be far worse, Charles.
I agree 1,000%. You know, our miscues birthed ISIS in the first place. Having said that, though, I listened to your speech last night in New Hampshire, which, by the way, I really liked it more so than a lot of recent speeches. You're starting to get a sort of subtleness to you, a calmness about you, and even a more humility about you. I don't know. But having said this, you talk a lot about regaining respect. Let's talk about Vladimir Putin specifically. How would Donald Trump get Vladimir Putin to finally respect America?
Well, you know, respect is a funny thing. Some people get it and some people don't. And a lot of times you don't know why. Like, why is Jack Nicklaus able to sink the putt and somebody else can't? You know, why was Babe Ruth able to hit the home run and nobody else could? It's a funny thing how that works. But you know, I've gained tremendous respect over the years in business, dealing with international people, great leaders. You know, it's just something. And the problem we have, I mean, we have a president who is not respected by other countries, and certainly not respected by the leaders of some other countries. And Putin, I guess, would be the leader of the pack. I think China would be right up there, too. Japan would be right up there because of the way they take advantage of us on trade and other things. But I believe that I would probably get along with Putin. I think we might even have a decent relationship. But, you know, if you look at Putin and Obama, they're two people that just don't get along, and it's not good.
Well,
again, when he leaves here and then does what he did, it's sort of incredible. We were blindsided. Our administration was totally blindsided.
We were blindsided, although I think a lot of critics of President Obama probably weren't blindsided. You know, it's interesting. He said the same thing that you're saying, but of course his modus operandi was, hey, we go around the world and we'll tell these people, you're equal to us. We'll bow to their leaders. We'll do the nice things, sort of, you know, the carrot and forget about the stick. So I'm assuming that to a certain degree you would have to pull out the stick as well.
Oh, you have to. Sometimes you'll have to. You know, when he drew the line in the sand, the great red line, right, and he didn't do it, that's a bad thing. I mean, look, a lot of people say that that was a big mistake. It was a mistake to maybe say you know, I'm not saying he should have done something. I'm saying you don't go and do that and then don't do it, because people see that and they say, whoa, what have we here? But it's been a rough period of time in terms of foreign policy for this country. This last number of years has been it's been a very, very rough period of time.
Yeah, you know, you're absolutely right about that. Again, that's one area, no matter what you look at, who you ask across the aisle, everyone agrees our foreign policy is an absolute mess. And
well, that's one of the reasons I think Hillary is going to do very badly in the election, because she was, you know, did not do a good job, to put it very nicely, to put it extremely nicely. She did not do a good job as Secretary of State. Kerry might even surpass her because of this horrible deal. The Iran pact is so bad, it's so incompetent, it's so bad in every way.
How would you unwind that if you're elected? How would you unwind that?
I would watch them. Like I've bought over the years. You know, you've talked about some. I've made many deals where I buy bad deals purposely. I buy bad contracts. I'll buy a horrible contract, and then I'll just absolutely be very tough. Okay, I'm going to be nice. I'll be very tough, and I'll make that contract into a good contract. And I would be very, very vigilant on this contract. There's always something in a contract, no matter how bad it is, that you can hang your hat on. And I would police that contract like they would never believe. And if they violated it, they would have problems like they would never believe. And they would know, and they would know that. They don't know that with Obama. They think they pulled the wool over his eyes. Like a thing like the prisoners, they're now negotiating. We have 4 prisoners. They're negotiating for 3,
right,
and they want 19 of their men, and they want many other things, okay? And I'm saying, where do we come from? What are we doing? And why is it not 4? And by the way, why did we get them at the beginning of the pact 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when we started negotiating this ridiculous deal? And here we are. They want to now negotiate, but they want 19 people, and we have, you know, they want to give us back 3, not even 4, and we have 4 there. So this is just the way we negotiate. It's just incredible, Charles.
It really is. I get it. I mean, it's after the fact. The deal is done. They get $150 billion, and now we want to retroactively try to do something that should have been at the very top. I mean, it seemed like that was low-hanging fruit, by the way, with all the other things. Nuclear power for 3 soldiers or 3 prisoners. It seems like a no-brainer to me.
Well, and you know, the saddest part is on that, they said why that didn't happen. They didn't want to complicate the deal. Can you imagine that? It's one sentence. We want our prisoners back before we start.
Yeah.
All you had to do is say, we want our prisoners back before we start. This should have been years ago. Because, you know, did you ever see a deal take so long to make, to start off with? But we lost every single point. This deal's a disaster, but we don't even get it. And now they want to use the prisoners for a brand-new negotiation. It's unbelievable.
It's absolutely amazing. Let me ask you about our allies while we're still on this international thing. I just feel, you know, the idea that you say we're going to get them to help pay for our military. I get where you're coming from. I saw a report this week. I don't know that people will realize this, but Poland has a stronger military than Germany. Imagine that, okay? Yeah. And Germany doesn't have to spend money on their military because we've got bases there. But they've always had us over a barrel because we were fighting a Cold War. I mean, Japan actually, we had to pay Japan to keep military bases there. How would you turn that around? And is it really legitimate that you can get these guys to pay billions of dollars for us to stay there?
So we protect Japan. Probably we pay them. We protect Germany. Probably we pay them. You know, but the numbers are so fudged up that nobody even knows what the hell they are, okay? We protect, like I ordered 4,000 television sets recently for a big project. 4,000. They all come out of South Korea. They don't make televisions here anymore. So we protect South Korea, and they, you know the story there. We have 28,000 soldiers there. It's every time North Korea acts up a little bit, we send our ships, our planes, our everything. We don't get anything for that. And, you know, these are rich countries. I'm not talking about poor countries. These are really rich countries. How about Saudi Arabia? They make $1 billion a day. We protect Saudi Arabia. We get nothing.
Yeah.
We get nothing. So when we put a business mind, a good one like mine, because I've done a good job. I mean, who's done better? Not too many people. But you put that kind of thinking in there, Charles, I mean, forget it. We will start doing great. And you know what? They'd be glad to do something. How about Japan? If Japan gets attacked, we must go to their defense. If we get attacked, Japan doesn't have to help us in any way, shape, or form.
It's absolutely nuts. In fact, I think we've got similar agreements with like 54 countries around the world. I want to shift now to the tax plan because obviously there was the Reagan-esque elements to it. Much lower individual taxes, much lower business taxes. It's a pretty much no-brainer to anyone in business, from a small businessman like me to someone like you. Let people keep more of what they want. They go out, they spend it. It circulates in the economy. It creates a real virtuous cycle rather than the Fed printing up phantom money and taxing companies to death. But I've got an issue with two things, and I hope you can help me clarify it.
Go ahead.
On the repatriation, 10% one-time tax. The window of opportunity is there, so I understand the urgency factor, but have I read, and is it clear that you are actually going to take this money from companies whether they repatriate it or not?
No, we are going to have them bring the money back into the country, and we're going to charge you 10% tax. Right now, the taxes, depending on the way you do it, it could be as high as 35%. It's too high. Nobody's going to bring it in, so nobody's bringing it in. I actually have money out. You can't bring it in. It doesn't make economic sense. Also, you can't get the approval to bring it in. You go through this process. You know, you need approval and everything else to bring money into the country that we can spend in our own country. So what we're doing is lowering the tax to 10%, which is a very reasonable rate, and leaving it at a low rate. But what is happening is the 15% tax, which corporations are going to pay in business, all businesses, little businesses, big businesses, we're lowering it. So we go from the highest tax in the world to being one of the lowest tax. We're actually third lowest, and at the 15%. People now are going to bring their money back, and they're going to bring it back automatically, Charles. It's not going to be stuck offshore. It's not going to be stuck in Europe and in Asia and in all of these different places. And, you know, the number of $2.5 trillion might be much more than that. People have no idea what that number is. But they think it's $2.5 trillion. I think it's going to be much more than that. So this money would pour into the United States as soon as we do this.
What about at zero? Why wouldn't you make it 0% then?
Well, you
instead
could
of
make
10%?
it zero.
Yeah.
And I was actually thinking about doing that. It's such a good thing. You know, the funny thing is that, and by the way, these plans, every one of them, whether it's my plan or Bush's plan or any of these plans, they're all going to be changed drastically by the time they get through. You understand that. This is a talking point and a starting point. I was actually thinking about making it zero. And maybe you make it zero for a period of 6 months or something like that. You know, you leave a very short window so the money just pours in. They want to bring the money in, but they just can't get it. But I was absolutely thinking about that, and I would totally be open to that. The only thing is they'll pay the 10% too. They're going to pay the 10. You might as well make a couple of bucks.
I got you. 0% plus a 15% tax here at home. Then we start to see factories get built in this country.
Absolutely.
On the individual side, though, when Jeb Bush announced his plan, he's going to have 15 million more people not pay taxes. You've got 30 million more not paying taxes at 50,000 and under. And I get where you're coming from. A lot of people say it's populist, but I believe that every American should pay something on the federal level, not necessarily 10%, but have some sort of skin in the game. And I'll tell you the other problem I have with it. We have created an entitlement culture here. If I'm making $50,000 a year, but there's 5 million jobs out there I just don't have the skills for, why should the government pay me not to get those skills? Yeah. Why can't I go and take a course for a year, become a welder, and then go get one of those great jobs? If you are paying me not to become a better American, I might just not become a better American.
I know. I agree with you 100%. I think two things. Number one, I think my tax plan is so dynamic that those people that aren't paying taxes are going to be paying taxes because they're going to get above their $25,000 and they're going to get above the numbers that we're talking about. And I also like the idea of sending in a return and paying something. But the truth is they don't have very much money, especially nowadays. Living off those kind of sums that you're talking about it's very tough. And you know what we save in terms of administration and all of the problems that we have when you have to administer all of this tremendous, tens and tens of millions of people sending in virtually nothing. I mean, it's a huge administration cost, and you can imagine what it is, far more than the money that we'll get in. So we thought we would do that. I think a lot of people like it. I agree, though. There's something nice about, sending in something, even though it can't be very much, because, again, we have to let the people live. They're not making any money. I do believe, though, that I will create jobs so much so that they will start making money, and good money, Charles.
And when we come back, more Donald Trump. Now, he says he's going to build a wall along the Mexico-United States border, but how are we going to get 11 million people to peacefully leave this nation? You know what? It's been done before. We're going to debate it next.